The dust particles danced in the pale blue light as Vel carefully lifted the ancient data crystal from its resting place. 3,000 years had passed since anyone bothered to visit this section of the Galactic Council archives, and the silence felt heavy with forgotten secrets. The crystal felt warm in her six-fingered hands, its surface covered with symbols that predated the current galactic calendar. Vel had spent most of her adult life studying the remnants of lost civilizations, but the Eternals remained the greatest mystery. They had ruled vast territories across 12 spiral arms before vanishing without explanation. Most scholars believed they had simply evolved beyond physical existence, ascending to some higher plane of reality. Vel suspected something far more troubling. The crystal activated with a soft hum, projecting holographic text in the ancient Eternal script. Vel's translation software struggled with the archaic language, but slowly the words began to form meaning. Her breathing quickened as she read the opening lines of what appeared to be a prophecy or a warning. From the third world of a yellow star, they shall emerge, pale beings who walk upright like trees but move with the cunning of hunters. They multiply across the void like seeds on stellar winds, adapting to every environment as water fills every vessel. Beware their gifts of metal and fire, for behind their words of friendship lies the patience of predators. The text continued for several paragraphs, describing beings of remarkable resilience, who would arrive speaking of peace while secretly studying every weakness of their hosts. The Eternals had encountered these creatures before, and their fear echoed across millennia through careful warnings carved in crystal and stone. Vel translated faster now, her excitement growing with each revelation. The prophecy described a species that appeared primitive but possessed intelligence beyond measure. They would arrive in small numbers, seeking only modest territories and simple trade agreements. But beneath this humble facade lay a coordination and purpose that would eventually consume entire civilizations. They bend not to flame nor frost, breathing poison as easily as pure air. What kills others makes them stronger. Where others see chaos, they find opportunity. They speak all tongues within seasons of first hearing them, and their young learn faster than ancient minds can comprehend. The warnings grew more specific as Vel read deeper into the crystal's contents. The Eternals described tactical patterns that seemed almost supernatural in their effectiveness. These pale beings would integrate themselves into existing power structures, always appearing helpful and eager to contribute. They would map every strength and weakness, every alliance and rivalry, building detailed knowledge while revealing nothing of their own capabilities. Most disturbing were the descriptions of their reproduction and expansion rates, while other species required generations to adapt to new environments. These beings thrived anywhere within mere decades. Their colonies grew with unprecedented speed, and their technology advanced through careful observation and improvement of existing designs rather than slow, independent development. Vel paused her translation as footsteps echoed through the archive halls. Few people visited this deep level, and she worried about interruption before she could complete her research. The footsteps passed without stopping, and she returned to the crystal with renewed focus. The final sections of the prophecy contained specific warnings about recognizing the signs of their arrival. The Eternals had learned to watch for unusual electromagnetic signatures from previously unknown star systems, particularly those matching the spectral output of yellow dwarf stars. They warned of ships that moved too fast for their apparent technology level and diplomatic messages that demonstrated impossible knowledge of galactic languages and customs. When they speak your words better than your children, when they know your history though they claim to have just arrived, when their questions probe deeper than curiosity warrants, then know that the time of choosing has come. Submit and live as cattle, or resist and face the storm they bring. Vel felt cold despite the archive's controlled temperature. The descriptions matched recent reports from the Outer Rim territories with unsettling accuracy. Long-range sensors had detected artificial signals from a system designated only as Sol 3, located in a previously unexplored region of the Orion Arm. The signals suggested industrial activity and organized communications, on a scale that indicated advanced civilization. More troubling were the linguistic analyses performed on intercepted transmissions. The beings from Sol 3 appeared to have multiple distinct languages, suggesting either a fragmented civilization or remarkable linguistic diversity within a unified culture. Some of the mathematical concepts embedded in their signals showed understanding of physics that approached current galactic standards despite their apparent technological limitations. Vel carefully stored the crystal in a secure containment field and began preparing her report for the Council. She knew the response would likely be dismissive, as the ruling species had grown comfortable in their dominance over the past 3 millennia. The Klaxons controlled interstellar commerce, the Valorians maintained military supremacy, and the Mindari provided technological advancement. What threat could a single species from an unknown region possibly pose to such an established order? But the Eternals had been equally confident in their power, and their civilization had spanned territories that dwarfed the current Galactic Council's influence. Yet they had chosen to flee rather than fight these pale beings from the third world of a yellow star. Their warnings suggested that conventional strength meant nothing against an enemy that struck from within. Using patience and intelligence rather than force. As Vel prepared to leave the archives, she noticed something that made her pause. The crystal she had been reading was not alone in its storage container. Dozens of similar crystals surrounded it, each one bearing the same urgent classification symbols. The Eternals had not left behind a single warning, but an entire library of them, all focused on the same threat. She selected another crystal at random and activated it. The text that appeared made her hands shake as she read the opening lines. Should our warnings go unheeded and the Pale Ones return to claim the galaxy, know that resistance is possible but costly. Their strength lies not in superior weapons but in superior knowledge of their enemies. They win wars before their enemies know fighting has begun. Vel realized she had discovered something that would change everything or be ignored by those too proud to believe in threats they could not understand. The choice between wisdom and arrogance would determine whether galactic civilization survived the coming storm or joined the Eternals in mysterious exile among the distant stars. The airlock hissed open with mechanical precision, and Reed stepped onto station harmony with practiced, diplomatic grace. Her polished black shoes clicked against the metal deck plates as she moved forward, flanked by a small team of human advisors and translators. The welcoming committee waited in formation. Representatives from the major galactic powers arranged according to strict protocol. Reed had rehearsed this moment countless times during the 6-month journey from Earth, but no simulation could have prepared her for the reality of standing before beings from across the galaxy. The Klaxon Trade Minister towered over everyone else, his crystalline shell refracting light into rainbow patterns. The Valorian general stood rigid in ceremonial armor that had been polished to mirror brightness. The Mindari researcher floated in a specialized atmosphere suit, her tentacles moving in complex patterns that Reed's briefings had identified as signs of intense curiosity. Ambassador Reed of the Terran Republic, she announced carefully, practiced the galactic standard, bowing at precisely the angle recommended by Earth's xenological experts. We come in peace and friendship, seeking our place among the stars. Trade Minister Brick stepped forward first, his voice resonating through harmonic chambers in his chest. Welcome to galactic civilization, Ambassador. Your arrival marks a significant moment in our shared history. His words carried the formal warmth of established protocol, but Reed detected undertones of calculation. The Klaxons had built their power on trade, and they were already evaluating humanity's economic potential. General Thane offered a military salute that Reed returned with appropriate respect. Her briefings had emphasized the importance of showing proper deference to Valorian martial traditions. Your species shows promise, Thane declared. Perhaps in time you will contribute meaningfully to galactic security. The subtle condescension in his tone suggested he viewed humans as potential recruits rather than equals. Dr. Yin approached last, her movements graceful despite the cumbersome atmosphere suit. Your biological adaptations are fascinating, she observed, speaking directly to Reed as if the other committee members were not present. "We look forward to extensive scientific exchanges." Reed smiled diplomatically while making mental notes about the Mindari tendency to view other species. As research subjects, the tour of Station Harmony began immediately, with each representative eager to showcase their civilization's achievements. Reed marveled appropriately at the Klaxon commercial districts, where goods from thousands of worlds changed hands in markets that never closed. She expressed suitable awe at the Valoria military displays, watching combat demonstrations that were clearly intended to intimidate as much as impress. She asked thoughtful questions during the Mindari presentations, showing the right balance of ignorance and eagerness to learn. Dug behind her diplomatic mask, Reed cataloged everything with the precision of a trained intelligence officer. The station's defensive capabilities were impressive but followed predictable patterns. The various species interacted according to established hierarchies that could be exploited through careful positioning. Most importantly, their confidence in galactic stability made them careless about operational security. During the formal dinner that evening, Reed engaged in careful conversation with each delegation. She allowed herself to appear slightly overwhelmed by the complexity of galactic politics while asking questions that seemed naive but provided crucial intelligence. Trade Minister Brix eagerly explained commercial regulations that revealed critical vulnerabilities in the economic system. General Thane boasted about military capabilities, while inadvertently disclosing fleet positions and supply routes. Dr. Yin shared research findings that gave insight into technological limitations and development priorities. "Your species learns quickly," observed Dr. Yin as the evening progressed. "Most new civilizations require decades to understand even basic galactic customs." Reed responded with appropriate humility, crediting her team's dedication while carefully deflecting attention from humanity's unusually rapid cultural adaptation. The conversations continued late into the station's artificial night cycle, with Reed gradually revealing carefully prepared aspects of human civilization. She described Earth as a diverse world with multiple governments and cultural groups, explaining humanity's expansion into space as driven by curiosity and resource needs, rather than coordinated strategy. The alien representatives found this explanation reassuring, as it fit their expectations of how primitive species typically developed. Reed's team members played their roles perfectly, each one providing supporting details that reinforced the image of humanity as eager but inexperienced newcomers. Their linguists demonstrated impressive but not unprecedented skill with alien languages. Their trade specialist asked questions that showed understanding of basic economic principles without revealing sophisticated knowledge of galactic commerce. Their military attache appeared professional but clearly outclassed by the advanced civilizations surrounding them. As the formal ceremonies concluded, Reed found herself in private conversation with Station Commander Korath, a Valorian officer responsible for diplomatic security. "Your people seem refreshingly direct," he commented while reviewing routine security protocols. "Many new species attempt to hide their true capabilities or intentions." Reed laughed softly, responding that humans had always believed honesty was the foundation of lasting friendship. The irony was not lost on her as she spoke those words. Everything about humanity's approach to first contact had been carefully orchestrated to create specific impressions while concealing the truth about human capabilities and intentions. Earth's governments had spent decades preparing for this moment, analyzing intercepted alien communications and developing strategies based on detailed psychological profiles of each major species. During the following days, Reed participated in numerous smaller meetings and cultural exchanges. Each session provided opportunities to gather intelligence while reinforcing humanity's carefully constructed image. She toured facilities that the aliens considered routine but which revealed critical information about galactic infrastructure and capabilities. She attended briefings intended to educate new species about galactic law and customs, learning not just the official rules, but also the unwritten patterns of power and influence. The most valuable intelligence came from casual conversations with station personnel who saw humans as harmless newcomers worthy of helpful advice. Maintenance workers explained the technical systems that kept the station operational. Security guards discussed standard threat assessment procedures. Administrative staff shared gossip about political tensions and economic pressures that never appeared in official communications. By the end of the first week, Reed had assembled a comprehensive intelligence picture that would have taken traditional spy networks months to develop. The aliens' openness with newcomers had provided access to information they would have carefully guarded from potential rivals. Their assumption that humans were too primitive to pose a threat made them careless about operational security around the human delegation. As Reed prepared her first report to Earth, she reflected on the success of humanity's patient approach to galactic contact. Other species had arrived with demands or displays of power, marking themselves as immediate threats or competitors. Humans had chosen a different path, presenting themselves as grateful students eager to learn from their advanced neighbors. The strategy was working perfectly, with each alien delegation viewing humanity through the lens of their own priorities and prejudices. The Klaxons saw trading partners, the Valorians saw potential allies, and the Mindari saw research subjects. None of them saw the truth that Reed carefully concealed behind diplomatic smiles and expressions of wonder at galactic civilization's achievements. The mining platforms around Kepler 186f hummed with constant activity as enormous extractors pulled rare metals from the asteroid fields. Cole watched the operation through reinforced observation windows, noting how efficiently the human workers coordinated their efforts with alien supervisors. To outside observers, it appeared to be a model of interspecies cooperation and human eagerness to contribute to galactic industry. Production rates are exceeding projections by 30%, reported Mining Director Stevens, approaching Cole with a data tablet displaying impressive statistics. The Klaxon overseers are calling it a miracle of human work ethic. Both men knew the real explanation for their success had nothing to do with work ethic and everything to do with the military-grade sensors hidden within the mining equipment. Every asteroid processed by human crews was thoroughly mapped and analyzed, building detailed databases of mineral composition, structural integrity, and potential defensive value. The knowledge would prove invaluable when human military planners needed to understand the strategic resources available in this sector. More importantly, the constant traffic of mining ships provided perfect cover for reconnaissance missions that extended far beyond the official work zones. Cole activated his private communication system, speaking in a casual tone that would seem natural to any listener. "Houston, the garden is growing well. Soil conditions are better than expected, and we're finding excellent mineral content throughout the region." The coded message would inform Earth Command that intelligence gathering was proceeding ahead of schedule and that the sector contained strategic resources worth securing. Similar reports were flooding back to Earth from dozens of human settlements across the galaxy. What alien observers saw as rapid but harmless expansion was actually a carefully coordinated intelligence operation of unprecedented scope. Every human trading post, research station, and diplomatic mission served multiple purposes beyond their apparent functions. On the research station orbiting Gle 667 CC, Dr. Nash supervised an archaeological expedition studying the ruins of an ancient eternal city. The alien academic community had celebrated humanity's contribution to historical research, praising human scholars for their fresh perspectives on old mysteries. They had no idea that Nash's team was equipped with advanced scanning technology that surpassed anything available to galactic science. "The warning beacons are definitely automated," Nash explained to her assistant while carefully examining a crystalline structure embedded in the ruins. "They've been broadcasting continuously for months, but the signal format doesn't match any current galactic communication protocols." Her voice carried excitement that seemed appropriate for an academic discovery, but her real enthusiasm came from understanding the implications of her findings. The Eternals had left behind an extensive warning system designed to alert galactic civilization when humanity returned. The beacons had activated when the first human ships entered this region of space, but their ancient programming used communication methods that predated current technology. The warnings were being transmitted, but no one alive knew how to interpret them. Nash's team worked methodically through the ruins, using their advanced sensors to map underground structures and hidden chambers that previous expeditions had missed. Each discovery revealed more details about the Eternals' hasty departure and their desperate attempts to warn future civilizations about the approaching human threat. The irony was not lost on Nash that humans were now the ones uncovering these warnings about themselves. Meanwhile, in the commercial district of New Geneva Station, human traders were establishing themselves as reliable and profitable partners in galactic commerce. Trade Representative Parker negotiated contracts with alien suppliers while maintaining the appearance of a newcomer still learning the complexities of interstellar business. His negotiations consistently secured favorable terms that impressed his alien counterparts. Humans have a natural talent for commerce, observed Klaxon Trade Director Zix during a routine business meeting. Your species understands value and efficiency in ways that suggest great potential for long-term partnership. Parker accepted the compliment graciously while mentally reviewing the detailed market analysis that had been prepared by Earth's Economic Intelligence. Division months before first contact, every human trader carried encrypted databases containing comprehensive information about galactic economic patterns, alien psychology, and historical precedents for successful negotiations. What appeared to be intuitive business sense was actually the result of extensive research and preparation. Human merchants succeeded because they understood their alien counterparts better than those aliens understood themselves. The pattern, repeated across every aspect of human expansion into galactic civilization, human diplomats demonstrated remarkable cultural sensitivity and political awareness. Human scientists proposed research projects that addressed exactly the right theoretical questions. Human colonists adapted to new environments with surprising speed and efficiency. On the agricultural world of Proxima 7, human settlers were transforming previously marginal farmland into productive territory that fed both human colonies and alien populations. Colonial Administrator Brooks supervised the expansion while maintaining detailed records of soil composition, climate patterns, and potential defensive positions. The agricultural success provided perfect justification for continued human expansion, while gathering strategic intelligence about the planet's military value. The locals are amazed by our crop yields, Brooks reported during his weekly communication with Earth Command. They're requesting assistance with improving their own agricultural techniques. The request provided opportunities to study alien farming methods and food production systems, knowledge that could prove crucial during any future conflict. Human settlements demonstrated unprecedented unity and coordination compared to the loose confederations typical of other species. Alien observers attributed this to human social instincts and cultural values, not recognizing the extensive communication networks and command structures that connected every human community across the galaxy. Each settlement could coordinate with others through encrypted channels that appeared to be routine commercial or scientific communications. The speed of human adaptation continued to impress alien observers while concealing the truth about human preparation and capabilities. Human children born in alien environments learned local languages and customs within months rather than years. Human workers mastered alien technologies faster than their instructors expected. Human scholars contributed insights to research projects that suggested understanding far beyond their supposed experience. Dr. Yin observed this pattern during scientific conferences where human researchers presented theories that demonstrated sophisticated understanding of galactic physics and biology. Your species possesses remarkable learning capacity, she commented to Dr. Torres following a presentation on stellar formation. Most civilizations require centuries to develop such comprehensive theoretical frameworks. Torres accepted the observation with appropriate modesty while carefully avoiding any details that might reveal the extent of human scientific advancement. Earth's researchers had been analyzing alien technology and scientific data for decades before first contact, building theoretical models that incorporated the best of galactic knowledge while addressing its limitations and blind spots. The most impressive aspect of human expansion was its apparent spontaneity and independence. Different human groups seemed to pursue their own interests without central coordination, creating the impression of a naturally diverse and decentralized species. Alien governments found this reassuring, as it suggested humans posed no unified threat to established galactic order. The reality was far different. Every human settlement, trading post, and research mission was part of a comprehensive strategy developed by Earth's military and intelligence services. Each operation served multiple purposes while maintaining perfect operational security through compartmentalization and careful communication protocols. As human influence spread throughout the galaxy, alien civilizations found themselves increasingly dependent on human expertise and services. Human traders secured critical supply contracts. Human technicians maintained essential systems. Human advisors provided valuable consultation on economic and political matters. The integration appeared beneficial to all parties, creating the foundation for lasting cooperation and mutual prosperity. None of the alien governments recognized that they were gradually surrendering control over their own infrastructure and decision-making processes. The humans who seemed so helpful and eager to contribute were actually building comprehensive intelligence networks, while positioning themselves to control essential systems throughout galactic civilization. The ancient, eternal warnings continued, broadcasting from hidden beacons across the galaxy, but their coded messages remained unheard and unheeded by civilizations that had forgotten how to interpret the signals of their vanished predecessors. The emergency session alarm echoed through the council chambers as representatives from across the galaxy gathered in unprecedented urgency. Vel stood at the central podium, her hands trembling slightly as she prepared to deliver information that would shatter their understanding of galactic security. The holographic displays around the chamber showed data that painted a terrifying picture of coordinated infiltration and manipulation. "The evidence is undeniable," Vel began, her voice carrying the weight of months of painstaking research. The Eternals did not ascend to a higher plane of existence. They fled from humanity, leaving behind detailed warnings that we have ignored for 3 millennia. The chamber erupted in shocked murmurs as the implications of her statement became clear. High Chancellor Kix called for order from his elevated platform, his tentacles writhing in patterns that indicated extreme agitation. "Archivist Vel, these are extraordinary claims that require extraordinary evidence. Present your findings systematically." The formal request could not hide his obvious distress at the possibility that galactic civilization faced an existential threat. Vel activated the first set of holographic displays, showing translations of the ancient eternal texts alongside modern intelligence reports about human activities. The prophecies describe tactical patterns that match human behavior with perfect accuracy. The Eternals warned of beings who would arrive speaking of peace while systematically mapping every weakness of their hosts. The data streams continued as Vel presented evidence of human coordination that extended far beyond anything previously suspected. Communication intercepts revealed coded messages between supposedly independent human settlements. Economic analyses showed human control or influence over supply chains that spanned dozens of star systems. Most damning were the intelligence reports from various government security services, all describing the same pattern of human advisors and consultants gaining access to sensitive information. General Thane rose from his seat, his armor clanking, as he moved to address the assembly. "Archivist Vel, your research is impressive, but correlation does not prove conspiracy. The humans have demonstrated remarkable adaptability and cooperation, but this could simply indicate natural cultural characteristics." His words carried doubt even as he spoke them, suggesting that his own military intelligence had uncovered troubling patterns. "The Valorian Defense Command has noted unusual activities," Thane admitted reluctantly. "Human observers have been present near several classified military installations, always with legitimate reasons for their presence. Human technical consultants have gained access to fleet maintenance data through routine collaboration agreements. These incidents appeared Harmless individually, but collectively they suggest systematic intelligence gathering. Trade Minister Brick stepped forward, his crystalline shell reflecting the chamber's lighting and agitated patterns. The commercial authority has discovered similar patterns in economic sectors. Human trading companies consistently secure the most profitable contracts through negotiation techniques that demonstrate impossible knowledge of local market conditions. Several major commercial agreements have been structured in ways that give humans disproportionate influence over critical supply chains. The revelations continued as each major power block presented evidence of human activities that had seemed benign but now appeared sinister in their coordination and scope. The Mindari Science Directorate reported that human researchers had access to comprehensive databases that should have taken decades to compile. The Transportation Guild revealed that human shipping companies had mapped routes and infrastructure. With unprecedented accuracy, Dr. Yin floated forward in her specialized atmosphere suit, her tentacles moving in patterns that indicated deep concern. The biological evidence is equally troubling. Human adaptation rates exceed any known precedent. For carbon-based life forms, their learning capacity suggests either genetic engineering or selective breeding programs that span multiple generations. Most disturbing, human children demonstrate cognitive development patterns that indicate extensive prenatal conditioning. Vel continued her presentation with evidence from the archaeological expedition to the Eternal Ruins. The warning beacons have been broadcasting continuously since the first human ships entered galactic space. The signals use encryption methods that predate current technology, but I have succeeded in translating portions of the messages. The holographic displays showed text that made several representatives gasp in shock. Alert status maximum. The Pale Ones have returned as foretold. Evacuation protocols should be implemented immediately. All civilizations within broadcast range are advised to withdraw to designated safe zones beyond the galactic rim. Resistance will result in complete subjugation. This message will repeat until the threat has passed or all beacon networks have been destroyed. The chamber fell silent as the full implications became clear. The ancient warning system had been trying to alert them for months, but no one remembered how to interpret the signals. The Eternals had not only encountered humanity before, but had developed specific evacuation procedures based on their experience. Chancellor Kix's voice carried new authority as he addressed the assembly. If these findings are accurate, we face a threat unlike any in recorded galactic history. We must determine the scope of human infiltration and develop appropriate countermeasures immediately. His tentacles moved in complex patterns that activated emergency communication systems throughout the chamber. The response was swift but revealed the extent of the problem. Defense Command discovered that critical supply contracts were controlled by human-influenced corporations. The Economic Authority found that financial networks had become dependent on human-mediated transactions. The Technology Directorate realized that essential system components were manufactured in human space or by companies with human partnerships. The infiltration is complete, General Thane announced grimly as reports flooded in from across the galaxy. They have positioned themselves as indispensable partners in every aspect of our civilization. Any attempt to exclude them from critical systems would result in immediate collapse of infrastructure and services. Reed maintained her diplomatic composure as accusations flew around the chamber, but her responses had changed subtly. She no longer appeared eager to please or impressed by galactic civilization's achievements. Her questions were more direct, her observations more pointed. When challenged about human activities, she responded with polite deflection rather than the confused denials that would have been expected from a genuinely surprised diplomat. Ambassador Reed, Chancellor Kix addressed her directly. These allegations suggest that your people have been conducting systematic espionage operations while claiming peaceful intentions. How do you respond to this evidence? His tone carried formal authority but also desperate hope that the accusations might be based on misunderstanding. Reed stood calmly at her designated position, her expression showing no sign of distress or surprise. Chancellor Kix, The Galactic Council has made serious accusations based on incomplete information and conspiracy, theories derived from ancient texts of questionable authenticity. The Terran Republic remains committed to peaceful cooperation and mutual benefit with all galactic civilizations. Her response was technically accurate but avoided addressing any specific evidence. More troubling was her use of formal diplomatic language that indicated preparation for exactly this type of confrontation. She was not reacting like someone who had been caught by surprise, but like someone implementing predetermined protocols. However, Reed continued with a slight smile that somehow seemed threatening. If the Council believes that human presence in galactic civilization poses a threat, we are prepared to discuss alternative arrangements for our future relationship. The implicit warning was clear to everyone present, as removing humans from their integrated positions would cause systemic collapse. The session continued late into the station's night cycle. As the full scope of human preparation became apparent, every aspect of their integration into galactic civilization had been carefully planned and executed. They had not stumbled into positions of influence through natural talent or good fortune. They had systematically identified vulnerabilities and exploited them through patient, coordinated strategy. As the evidence mounted, it became clear that the galaxy faced an impossible choice. They could attempt to expel the humans and watch their civilization collapse, or they could accept that humanity had already won a war that most people did not even know was being fought. The ancient eternal warnings had been accurate in every detail, but the knowledge came too late to change the outcome. The Pale Ones from the third world of a yellow star had returned to claim the galaxy, just as the prophecies had foretold. The signs had been ignored, the warnings dismissed, and now the doom that followed would reshape galactic civilization according to human vision and human interests. Reed concluded the session with words that would be remembered throughout galactic history. The Terran Republic looks forward to continued cooperation with all civilizations that recognize the benefits of partnership with humanity. Those who prefer isolation are free to pursue that course, though they may find it challenging to maintain their current standard of living without human assistance. The trap had been decades in the making, and it was already closed. The silence in the Valorian command center was deafening as Admiral Smith's image filled the main display screen. Behind him, the bridge of the human flagship buzzed with quiet activity, a stark contrast to the chaos that had engulfed galactic civilization over the past weeks. Smith's expression remained neutral as he delivered humanity's final ultimatum to the assembled military leaders of the galaxy's most powerful civilizations. In the archives, where Vel had first discovered the ancient warnings, new human scholars worked alongside alien researchers to decode additional eternal texts. The crystals revealed that humanity's previous expansion had followed identical patterns, with the same patient infiltration and systematic integration that had just conquered galactic civilization. The Eternals had chosen evacuation over resistance because they understood that fighting humanity meant fighting an enemy that had already won before the conflict began. Reed stood in her new office overlooking the restructured Station Harmony, now serving as a regional administrative center for the human galactic government. Through the reinforced windows, she watched ships from dozens of species arriving and departing according to schedules determined by human traffic control systems. The station that had once represented alien power and authority now functioned as a component of humanity's expanding civilization. Her communication system activated with an encrypted message from Earth Command, reporting successful integration of the final independent systems in the Outer Rim territories. The last pockets of resistance had surrendered when their life support systems failed due to lack of human-manufactured components. No shots had been fired, no planets had been bombarded, but the outcome was as complete as any military conquest in galactic history. The eternal evacuation routes have been mapped, the message continued. Long-range reconnaissance has located several refugee populations in the void between galaxies. They maintain technological capabilities but show no signs of planning a return. Current assessment suggests they will remain in permanent exile rather than challenge human expansion. Reed deleted the message and turned her attention to reports from human colonies throughout the galaxy. Each settlement had exceeded population and productivity projections, with human families thriving in environments that had challenged even the most adaptable alien species. The children born in these colonies learned alien languages and customs as naturally as they learned human culture, creating a generation that would be equally comfortable dealing with any species in the galaxy. The transformation was not merely political or economic, but represented a fundamental shift in the nature of galactic civilization. Humanity had not simply conquered existing structures, but had evolved them into something new and more efficient. Trade routes that had operated according to tradition for thousands of years were reorganized to optimize resource distribution. Communication networks that had struggled with language barriers were upgraded to provide instant translation and cultural context. Transportation systems that had developed piecemeal over millennia were integrated into a coherent whole that served the needs of all species while advancing human strategic objectives. Most remarkably, the alien populations seemed to accept and even appreciate the changes. The improved efficiency of essential services outweighed concerns about political autonomy for most citizens. The enhanced economic opportunities created by human administration benefited individuals even as their governments lost independence. The advanced technologies introduced by human researchers solved problems that had persisted for generations. Hayes reviewed the final integration reports as the first year of human galactic administration drew to a close. Crime rates had decreased significantly due to improved social services and economic opportunities. Interspecies conflicts had virtually disappeared due to human mediation and the shared focus on expanding galactic civilization. Scientific advancement had accelerated dramatically due to the combination of human research methods with alien knowledge and capabilities. The ancient prophecy described this outcome with remarkable accuracy, Hayes observed to his senior staff during their final planning session. The Eternals knew that humanity would transform galactic civilization rather than simply conquering it. They chose evacuation because they understood that resistance would be futile and cooperation would mean losing their identity as an independent species. The holographic displays showed the current extent of human influence, now encompassing virtually every inhabited system in the galaxy. The expansion continued at the edges of known space, with human exploration fleets pushing into regions that had never been surveyed by other species. Each new discovery was immediately integrated into the growing network of human-controlled territories and resources. The final irony was that humanity's success had validated the fears expressed in the ancient warnings while demonstrating that those fears had been based on incomplete understanding. The Eternals had described humanity as a destructive force that would consume galactic civilization, but the reality was more complex. Humanity had indeed conquered the galaxy, but in the process had created something better than what had existed before. The Pale Ones from the third world of a yellow star had returned to claim their destiny among the stars, just as the prophecies had foretold. The signs had been ignored, the warnings dismissed, and the doom that followed had transformed the galaxy according to human vision and human values. But rather than bringing destruction, humanity had brought order, efficiency, and progress to civilizations that had stagnated in their comfortable traditions. The ancient prophecy had been fulfilled, but the doom it predicted had taken an unexpected form. The galaxy now belonged to humanity, and under human guidance, it was becoming something greater than any of its previous inhabitants had ever imagined possible. "The transition period has concluded," Smith announced with calm authority. "All resistance operations have ceased, and critical infrastructure has been secured under human oversight. The new galactic administration is now prepared to discuss terms for peaceful integration with remaining independent systems." His words carried the weight of absolute victory achieved through methods that had rendered traditional warfare obsolete. General Thane stood rigid before the display, his ceremonial armor now seeming hollow and meaningless. The Valorian military machine that had dominated galactic security for millennia had been neutralized, without a single major battle. Their fleets remained intact but were effectively grounded due to compromised navigation systems and supply chain failures. Attempts to bypass human-controlled logistics had failed when critical components turned out to be manufactured exclusively in human space. How? Thane asked, his voice barely containing his frustration and bewilderment. Our intelligence services detected no major military buildup, no fleet movements that would indicate preparation for galactic conquest. Your forces appeared minimal compared to our combined strength. The question reflected the confusion that had paralyzed military commanders across the galaxy as they watched their power evaporate overnight. Smith allowed himself a slight smile as he prepared to explain humanity's greatest strategic achievement. General Thane, your forces remain among the finest military organizations in the galaxy. However, you prepared for the wrong type of war. While you built fleets and weapons designed to fight external enemies, we fought a war of integration and dependence. Victory was achieved before you realized fighting had begun. The explanation continued as Smith outlined the scope of human preparation and coordination. Every human settlement had served multiple purposes beyond their apparent functions. Every trade agreement had been structured to create dependency relationships. Every scientific collaboration had provided intelligence while placing human personnel in critical positions throughout galactic infrastructure. Your civilizations became dependent on human expertise because we made ourselves indispensable, Smith continued. When that dependence was withdrawn, your systems could not function independently. This outcome was planned and implemented over decades of patient infiltration and strategic positioning. On New Geneva Station, Chancellor Kix watched similar presentations being delivered to government leaders throughout the galaxy. The Galactic Council had been dissolved and replaced with a human administrative authority that would oversee the transition to the new political structure. Kix found himself appointed as a regional administrator under human supervision, responsible for maintaining order while the occupation solidified. The transformation was remarkably peaceful compared to traditional military conquests. Human administrators worked closely with existing government officials, implementing changes gradually and maintaining essential services. The population experienced minimal disruption to their daily lives. Though the underlying power structure had been completely restructured, Dr. Yin observed the transition from her research facility, noting the efficiency with which humans assumed control over critical systems. Her own scientific projects continued under new management, but with human oversight that demonstrated comprehensive understanding of galactic technology and research priorities. The humans were not merely occupying alien institutions, but improving their operation through superior organizational methods. The human approach to governance shows remarkable sophistication, Yin reported to her remaining independent colleagues. They have maintained existing structures while inserting control, mechanisms that ensure compliance without obvious oppression. The population accepts the changes because essential services continue to function more efficiently than before. The economic transformation proceeded with similar efficiency. Human administrators assumed control over major trade routes and manufacturing centers, but commerce continued to flow according to market principles. The difference was that all major economic decisions now required human approval, and economic policies served human strategic interests rather than the narrow concerns of individual species or systems. Trade Minister Brix found himself working within the new system. His expertise valued, but his authority limited to implementation of human-designed policies. The Klaxon commercial networks remained operational, but were now components of a larger economic structure that served humanity's galactic expansion rather than traditional profit motives. The humans understand commerce better than we anticipated, Brix confided to his remaining staff. Their economic policies demonstrate knowledge of galactic trade patterns that surpasses our own expertise. They are not destroying existing systems, but optimizing them for purposes we never considered. The most impressive aspect of human administration was its scale and coordination. Decisions made in one sector of the galaxy were immediately implemented across all human-controlled territories through communication networks that operated faster and more reliably than anything previously available. The humans had not only conquered galactic civilization but had improved its operational efficiency in the process. Director Hayes stood in the former council chambers, now redesigned as the Central Command Center for Human Galactic Administration. Holographic displays showed the status of hundreds of star systems now under human control, with real-time updates on population, resources, and strategic priorities. The scope of human coordination rivaled the Eternals at their peak of power. Phase 1 implementation is complete, Hayes announced to his staff of human administrators and alien specialists. All major systems have accepted integration protocols, and resistance movements have been successfully contained through economic pressure rather than military action. We can proceed to Phase 2 development programs. The reports from across human space revealed the true scope of humanity's achievement. Earth's population had expanded dramatically through advanced medical technology and terraforming projects that had created habitable environments on previously barren worlds. Human colonies now existed in every major galactic sector, each one a testament to humanity's adaptability and determination. More importantly, human civilization had evolved beyond the limitations that constrained other species. Their political structures incorporated the best aspects of various alien governments while avoiding their weaknesses. Their technology combined galactic scientific knowledge with human innovation to create capabilities that surpassed anything previously achieved. Their military forces remained small but were supported by intelligence networks and logistical systems that made traditional warfare obsolete. The ancient eternal warnings played on display screens throughout the galaxy as the transition reached its final stages. The prophecies that had been dismissed as mythology were now recognized as accurate historical records of humanity's first expansion into galactic space millennia earlier. The Eternals had escaped to unknown regions beyond the galactic rim, but their warnings about human capabilities had proven completely accurate.